All right, everybody. It says we're live. It's approximately 10:03 p.m. Central Time here in Wisconsin. It is September 13th, 2020. Had some breaking news come through. If you hadn't seen it yet, officer involved shooting, 300 block Laurel Street, body camera video. Now, this is pretty unheard of for officers and the DA to release the um, body footage or the body cam from law enforcement the same day within hours of this person being shot and killed. And it shows one person in the house. I figure this would get somebody's attention because it's breaking news, and I have the video, and I'm going to read here. To the best of my ability, because these letters are so tiny here and my eyes are blurry. So once again, this is the camera footage from the officer from the shooting today in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hello, three in the house. Anyways, y'all can see this in the archives if nobody else comes in. Great to see you, Cheryl O. On September 13th, 2020, at approximately 4:13 p.m., Lancaster County-wide Communications received a 911 call for a domestic on the 300 block of Laurel Street in Lancaster City. The caller related that her brother was reportedly becoming aggressive with his mother and was attempting to break into her house. Several officers from the Lancaster City Bureau of Police responded to the call, and the first officer arrived 4:24 p.m. The first officer on the scene walked to the front door of the residence and made contact with a woman who was identified as a family member. A male subject then exited the front door of the resident and began chasing the officer. Primarily, information and body-worn camera footage indicates that the male subject had a knife in his right hand as he was chasing the officer. The officer fired several shots from his firearm, striking the subject. The subject, identified as 27-year-old a 27-year-old Lancaster man, did not survive his injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The officer was the only police officer on the scene at the time of the shooting, and his body-worn camera was activated and recorded the encounter. Additional officers arrived shortly thereafter. Now, if anybody sees this in the archives, or I'm sure YouTube might shadow ban this, in 2011 or 2012, I believe, this same person that was shot and killed today stabbed four people in his family. I believe he stabbed his mother, maybe one of his brothers. He actually stabbed a 16-year-old child in the face several times. So all these idiot rioters and protesters and everything are saying, "Oh, he was just a boy, and they killed an innocent, handicapped boy because he's autistic, etc." There's this autistic guy was known to be very, very violent. Like I said, he was arrested a few years ago for stabbing four people at one time. Stabbed, I think, one in the back, one in the arm, maybe one in the leg, I believe, and the other was a 16-year-old. He stabbed several times in the face. I do have the video. I will be showing it. Some people on YouTube aren't showing it, but I'm going to, because truth be told. So what actually happened? I'll start reading over again. On September 13th, 2020, at approximately 4:13 p.m., Lancaster County-wide communications received a 911 call for a domestic in the 300 block of Laurel Street in Lancaster City. The caller related that her brother was reportedly becoming aggressive with his mother and was attempting to break into her house. Several officers from the Lancaster City Bureau of Police responded to the call, and the first officer arrived at 4:24 p.m. The first officer on the scene walked to the front of the residence and made contact with the woman, who was identified as a family member. A male subject then exited the front door of the residence and began chasing the officer. Preliminary information and body worn camera footage indicates that the male subject had a knife in his right hand, a big ass knife, too, by the way, as he was chasing the officer. The officer fired several shots from his firearm, striking the subject. The subject, identified as a 27-year-old Lancaster man, did not survive his injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. The officer was the only police officer on the scene at the time of the shooting, and his body-worn camera was activated and recorded the encounter. Additional officers arrived afterwards. The following footage was recorded on the officer's body cam. The images contained in this video are graphic and may be disturbing to viewers. Discretion advised. This video footage is permitted to be released under Pennsylvania's Act 22. I think they hurried up and they put this video out here immediately so they could go ahead and slow these protesters from turning into batshit crazy rioters. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to hold it up and blow it up. And yes, my screen is cracked. I'm trying to get to where I can see it. Now, once you see him barge out of the house, you tell me if that officer had time to think. If he had time to stop and think, what should I do? Should I try to talk him out of this? Should I try to reach for my taser? Should I try to tackle him, etc.? It's fixing to come up any second. Actually, I'll put the speaker here. Come on now. It's coming.
Coming your way. Where'd they go? Get back, get back.
You see how fast that happened? You all see how fast that happened? I'll try to rewind it a little bit, but
Go. back, get back.
Damn it. I'm sorry, I sunk it way too low. The officer turns to run. The guy's catching up to him extremely fast, and the officer has no choice but to turn and fire at this. You know, I'm sorry, he was autistic.
20 is coming your way. Quarter two is going. Where'd they go? Get back, get back.
Now, from what all the protesters are saying, it's completely wrong what they're saying. I wanted to hurry up. What's up, Bambooski? ER Shaw was watching the Jeff Max stream of protest, and they all of a sudden sat down and stopped screaming. Yeah, it's probably because maybe some of them got to see the video, but there was so many people lying in the beginning. That's why I had to get off of it. But anyways, great to see you, Cheryl O. Yes, it is sad. That is a grown man. You know, they say he is autistic. Just because he's autistic, did that officer have time to find out if he was autistic or not? No, it happened that quick. And that officer turned to run and then looked back, and he was catching up to him with a big old knife. And he has a history of stabbing people. F that dude, autistic or not, he presented a danger. Yeah, actually, absolutely. If he would have caught up to that officer, if that officer would have tripped and fell with his history of stabbing people, it could have been a dead officer. So I'm glad that they put out the body cam as quickly as they did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's not a knife. This is a knife. Crocodile Dundee knife is what he had. You're absolutely right. Monster knife. So anyways, everybody, so that's the truth. Once again, I'm glad that they went ahead. I've never in my life seen body cam footage being released within hours after a shooting like that. They made the right choice, because if they didn't, I'm sure this would have turned out to be a full-scale riot, burning buildings down, if not worse, other people getting hurt or killed, etc. Fear no man, never fear death. Get right with God, fight the good fight, and always stay locked and loaded. Thank you all for jumping in. I'm off to bed for real this time.